Hello, beloveds. Thank you for joining me for Cam Church. My name is Unicole Unicron. It is my honor to have your attention. Today's sermon is going to be about truth and trust. And those are two topics that we don't really hear a lot about. I think some other preachers sometimes talk about truth and trust. Obviously, I have the word truth tattooed on me. It's very important to me to speak the truth. Some people say this is because I am autistic. Some people say this is because I am an alien. Some people say that this is because I'm Unicole Unicron. It could be any of those things. And I'm so happy to talk about this topic because it is such a deep passion of mine. And I want to talk about why it's so important to live in the timeline of truth and what's the purpose of lying and where lying gets us. So we live in a world where lying is very common, and not being your authentic self is a form of lying. Not being your authentic self and not telling the truth are the same thing. Most of us have integrated these feelings of dishonesty and these behaviors of dishonesty in such a deep way that we actually don't know how to tell the truth. It's actually very difficult for us to show up as our true self. Sometimes people even have repressed their true selves to such a degree that they don't even know who they really are inside. They don't even know who their true self is. And so that's a very difficult thing to manage and to navigate. And so I think that if you are someone who was raised to not really know who you are and to not really know what your true self is, then really do some child healing, because that's coming from a place of your parents not allowing space for you to be your true self. That's coming from a space of your parents actually repressing you and telling you and teaching you and indoctrinating you into the timeline of lies, into the timeline of dishonesty, into the timeline of inauthenticity. And you might think that my words are very extreme right now. You might think, well, everybody lies a little bit. No one's their true self. And I'm here to tell you that they are. And in the future, we are all our true selves. We are all living authentically, and that is one of the really core principles of UNICULT, that we are here to support each other authentically for who we really are, in our pain, in our joy, in our passions. Imagine if you were born and you were raised in a way where your parents said, "Who are you? What did you come to earth to do? You are an angel here on earth in a body. What did you come into a body to do?" And they asked you that, and they supported you, and they said, "What do you want to study? What do you want to explore?" And you were nurtured and nourished at every turn to be who you truly are. Would your life look very different than it looks like today? Most of what we do to children is socialize them into the social reality based on what we think they should do. We socialize them based on the expectations of what we expect them to do based on what we think they can do to be successful in this society. And that often includes repressing the true self. I remember when I was about 11 or 12, I remember having a couple of conversations with my own dad about this, and he was always a very honest person, but I remember saying, I feel kind of embarrassed to do certain things, like I'm realizing maybe I shouldn't be acting certain ways in front of other people, and my dad said, "Yeah, that's just how it is, And so he indoctrinated me in that way of like, yep, you just have to mask, you just have to show up in a way that other people find acceptable. And from that place, you can be successful. But how successful are we when we're not really our true selves? And I'm going to get into actual lies and actual liars and betrayals. I've had a couple of betrayals recently that sting, and it's just a drag. It's really sad to see people lying. It's really sad to see people betraying you when you're literally showing up in the most authentic and beautiful energy that anyone's ever seen. And sometimes that can trigger people into lying because it scares them so much. So let's talk about what does lying do? There's this concept that I want to talk about that's more esoteric, right? And then we'll talk about the practicality. But esoterically speaking, lies create an alternative reality that is not on the authentic timeline. I always use this example, right? But I think it's a very common one. I think everyone can understand it. If you're married and you leave your spouse and you go and you say, I'm going to the store, and you go and you actually have sex with someone else and you have a secret affair, and you come back home and they say, where were you? And they kind of feel that something is off. You say, I was at the store. And you gaslight them and you make them believe something that isn't true. You're creating an alternate timeline for that person to live on. So there's the true timeline where you went to someone else's house and you had sex with them, right? And then you're gaslighting your spouse into believing this other thing that is not the true timeline. Okay, anytime that you lie about what you've done, about the true reality, and physical reality is the easiest way. Oh, who took the last apple? Not me, but you really did. You just created a false timeline, okay? Because it's not the truth. You're purposefully creating a false timeline in other people's reality. This can be very damaging to people who are capable of pattern recognition, and they are trying to use their pattern recognition. We're all doing this, right? We use our pattern recognition about what we know about the world to create our future. We take all the information in of what we've been up to and what's been happening and what everyone else is doing, all the variables, and we calculate it out, and then we make our own decisions about how to progress into the future and about what we care about and what we're going to invest our energy in, etc. If we don't have accurate information about what's going on around us, about the people who are closest to us, about the things that are important to us, we are debilitated in our ability to move forward into the reality that is most beneficial for us, because we're actually being handicapped by other people's lies, by other people's false realities, by their betrayals, by their mistruths, by this alternate timeline that they have created for us to live in. Now, this is on the individual level. On the global level, this is happening on a very mass scale. You might have heard the words that in 2012, the veil was lifted. This is the veil of dishonesty. This is the veil of black magic that has been going on this planet since probably around the time that the Bible was written. I feel like Jesus came to set us straight, and then the Bible was written, and it kind of has been changed a lot in society. There's this book, The Alphabet versus the Goddess. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you can read that. I'm not saying anything bad about Christianity. I'm talking about the patriarchy and this reality of hierarchy that didn't used to exist. And so this mistruth of hierarchy, this fundamental misunderstanding of how the world is operating, and this idea of competition instead of symbiosis, all of these conceptual frameworks that we have internalized as truth, which are not actually truthful, have created a disturbance in our ability to calculate who we are, to calculate what we're doing, and to move into the future in a coherent and harmonious manner. So we were under a big veil of delusion from a lot of different sources, and you have to understand that lying is the root and the completion of black magic. If I can tell somebody I'm about to curse you and they believe it, I don't even have to do anything. That's all I had to do was that. So if you are lying to people, you are creating a false reality, you are committing black magic, you're creating alternate timelines. And why do people lie then? If it's all this bad stuff, then why do people lie? People lie for a lot of different reasons. They lie because they are worried about their own ego. They lie because they're so afraid of not being their true selves. They're so afraid of their true selves being seen, because they're afraid that if people see who they really are, they will be ostracized and removed from the community. They're going to be banished from the community. That's a real fear. Okay, we lie because our parents taught us how to lie. We lie because we're trying to get other people to see us in the light that we feel like they should see us in, but maybe we aren't currently in that light. So it's really important that we understand that there is a benefit to lying, but it's not actually a sustainable benefit, because what happens? The truth always prevails. The truth is. And I wish I had a better sentence for that. I've been working on that concept for a very long time, but the only way I can say it, and if you just really listen to these words, the truth is. There's nothing else but the truth. If you can comprehend the fact that the truth is, then you'll realize that everything else is just an illusion. And that these illusions are actually causing pain to the people who are creating them most of all. Lies are beneficial to the ego. Lies are beneficial to the world in which is operating in a system of lies. There's a concept also, esoterically speaking, that Earth is in a timeline vortex. And what this means is that when you create a false timeline, you take humanity, the entirety of humanity, we're all connected. You take humanity off the track of the authentic timeline of truth and justice and glory and harmony and all the... God is good, okay? All of the beauty of the spiritual reality gets taken away when you lie because you're creating a false timeline based on fear and insecurity. When you take all of that energy from fear and insecurity and you put it into creating a new timeline, a new world, you are actually creating a vortex of negative energy that circles around your aura, that circles around this planet. And yeah, you can get ahead in this world of lies by lying. That's because it's a negative vortex spiral. If you jump onto the negative vortex spiral, you're going to be negatively vortexing along with it. But if you can stand strong and go against the current and you can say, no, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to be an honest person. I'm going to be proud of who I really am. I'm going to stand up for what I believe is actually true. I'm going to stand bright in this truth and not be afraid of what I really want and not be afraid of what other people think of me. If you can stand true and strong, yes, it's difficult to go against that current, but the blessings that you will receive are innumerable. One of those blessings is being able to clearly see when other people lie. And so when you are on the path to truth, when you are on the honesty timeline, when you are on the authentic timeline reality, you are not only aligned with your higher self, your truth, you're aligned with the spirit of uni, you're aligned with God, you're aligned with the rest of the universe, which is operating in this manner. And I'm not saying that people who lie are on the negative vortex are not in alignment with God or something. I mean, they're part of God, but when you align with the energy of the universe, it's just like going upstream versus going downstream versus floating in a lazy river, right? You're going to be trudging through this river that's like choking you and rushing against you, trying to create something in a way that's not really how the functionality of the universe works. The universe works by authenticity and honesty because the truth is. If you are taking the truth and you're ignoring it, you're operating in a fake reality, okay? So the truth is when you operate on the authentic timeline, things are made so much easier for you. And one of those things that's easier is that you get to see the truth of everyone's soul. There's a CIA operative that did a talk on YouTube you can find. I think it's called In the Future There Are No Secrets, something like that. And it's all about how as we develop these spiritual abilities and these psychic abilities and telepathy most of all, we cease to have secrets. And so as we develop our telepathy, which comes from being authentic and which comes from being honest with ourselves, we get to see other people's honesty no matter what they say, no matter what kind of lies they try to tell. For a psychic, a lie is an extreme act of betrayal and does great harm. If you're close to someone who is a psychic, who is working on being aligned with truth, who is working on seeing into these realms of reality that other people can't see, if you're talking to someone who is going against the grain and really trying to be an authentic angel on this world, and you lie to them, you're doing an act of great betrayal because you are gaslighting them out of their abilities. You are hindering their abilities to bring joy and love and peace to us all. If you see someone on the timeline that is true and honest, then you need to leave them alone if you're a liar. You need to really question yourself and walk away because your karma, once you do lie to them, is going to be really bad. And they are going to be damaged for a short time if you do that. Ultimately, people who are on the timeline of truth, who get lied to, learn how to differentiate liars and honest people in a much better way. But there are certain people with autism, if you want to call it that, who have a hard time, who are gullible, right? And who have a hard time differentiating between true honest potential and lying energy. And you can really damage someone by purposefully manipulating their energy. And it's a great harm to everyone, including yourself. And you just really don't want to do that, because your karma when you do that is really bad. Lies are the root of an entirety of black magic. We talked about that. So remember, people lie because there's a reason to lie. There's a purpose to lying. There's a benefit to lying. You're getting something from lying. But everything that you get from lying is not real. It's fake. It's not real because it's not true. The truth is. Nothing else is. You're just creating bullshit. So if you're lying to create bullshit, you're only going to get bullshit back. You can't get the truth. You can't get real reality. You can't get real love. You can't get real nourishment. You can't get real power from lying. You're going to get fake power from lying. You're going to get fake love from lying. So really understand there is a reason to do it, but that reason isn't worth it. So you may be listening to this saying, I want to enter the truth realm, but it's too hard. I've been lying my whole life. I don't know who I am authentically. My parents taught me to lie. I was rewarded for lying. I've been rewarded for lying in my job. I've been rewarded for lying in my relationships. Yes, I'm miserable at my job. Yes, I'm miserable in my relationships. But how do I switch my energy into the one where I am authentic and I am true? I'm so afraid I'm going to lose everything. Yes, you are. If your world is built on things that you got from lying and you're ready to enter the truth timeline, you will lose everything that is fake. You will lose the entirety of your reality that has been built up on your dishonesty. This can even be things like lying about being passionate about something. If you entered a career that you didn't actually feel passionate about and you've been going down this path saying, this is what I do, this is what I am good at, I guess, and you just keep going down this path even though you don't have the passion in your heart about it, then when you enter the truth reality, that's going to go away. And so I understand that this is very scary. This is a very big deal to challenge you and to tell you that we are entering into the age of truth, and that your participation in that means that you will lose access to many of the gains that you made in the third dimensional reality. As you lose access to those gains that you made in the third dimensional reality, you will enter into the timeline of truth, which means that the true desires, the true longings of your heart will get rewarded. So you will lose everything that is fake, but on the other side of that, you will gain everything that is real. You will gain everything that is pure and good and powerful to you, like your true desires, not your social desires. You're not going to gain things like, oh, well, other people are going to admire me for this. No, you're going to gain the things that you've been longing for since you were a child, the things that your soul truly craves. To enter into the truth reality, you have to start being honest with yourself first and foremost, and with the people in your life. You have to see reality from a 5D perspective. We talk about this a lot with timeline jumping. What this means is that you let go of duality. You start seeing all things as divine and all things as holy. This means that, yes, people lie and they betray you and there's drama and all this stuff, but you see it as part of the whole. You see it as, wow, well, I'm learning a lot. I'm growing a lot. I'm becoming strong in who I am because of that. I'm learning boundaries, etc., whatever it is. Or if you're someone who lies, you can say, wow, well, I had a really interesting life because I was a liar and because I hung out with a lot of liars. I learned a lot about a certain part of reality that I would never learn that if I was living in another planet as an alien. There's not a lot of places in the universe that operate from a lie-based perspective, from a dishonest perspective, because it's not how the universe operates. It's actually totally wacky. So if you're here and you're experiencing this lying, dishonest reality, you can kind of appreciate the uniqueness of it and the strangeness of it in the larger scope of the universe, and pull your energy back and just say, I'm in this wacky timeline right now where the truth isn't even acknowledged or seen, even though it's the truth. And I can appreciate that. So as you enter 5D, you start to be honest about your, who you are and what you want. And you start really pulling back from your attachment to duality, your attachment to good and evil. You start to really just accept, people who are lying are just injured little children inside. People who feel the need to betray are just trying to create something that's not in alignment with their own heart because they're so scared to be seen for who they are. They're so scared to not be accepted for who they are. So that compassion for people who lie, that compassion for people who don't know how to exist without the dishonesty is really important. After that, you can start to see the 3D and the 5D simultaneous. And this is where I tend to mess up. I don't see people's 3D that well. And I see people's potential. And I say, because it's so foreign to me to lie. I can't understand why anyone would do it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's actually like so stupid. Like I it's like the type of stupidity I can't even see, I can't even comprehend, is the stupidity of people who lie. So I don't catch it all the time. And I have something to share with you. If you're on Instagram, I'm sorry, you're not going to see it, but if you are on YouTube, you will see it. I have this pamphlet called Finding a Cult Leader You Can Trust. And in this pamphlet, I talk a little bit about what it means to trust people and what is trust. I don't think this is not something that we talk about very commonly in our reality. And I want to talk about what it is because people don't even know. People literally don't even know what it is. So let's see here. We've got, why should you trust? Trust is one of the most joyous emotions in the universe. When you can truly see that the universe is in alignment with the highest good for all, including yourself, you can let go of all your negative emotions and feel the protection and freedom that trust allows. So trust extends beyond trusting other people. What is trust? How can you trust other people? And this is the idea of seeing 3D and 5D at the same time. How can you trust God? How can you trust the universe? If you're someone... We're on the UNICULT YouTube channel. If you're someone who was raised to tell lies and to live in the inauthentic reality, you are not going to even believe that God is trustworthy. You're not even going to believe that the spirit of uni is trustworthy. You're not going to believe that the universe has your best interest at heart. And that's what we call trauma. So if you can take that trauma and you can integrate it and you can say, I understand that logically speaking, the universe is operating in a way that is beneficial and symbiotic for all entities at all times. Otherwise, it wouldn't be operate. It would cease to operate very rapidly. Okay, symbiosis must exist in order for this system to continue. So logically speaking, you can trust God. When you can truly see that the universe is in alignment with the highest good for all, including yourself, you can let go of your negative emotions and you can feel the protection and freedom that trust allows. There is an aspect of suffering, though, right? So unfortunately, very hurtful, detrimental, and terrible realities do exist around and within us. The higher you rise your own internal pain, the more joy you emit into the world, benefiting all. Every person is a spiritual leader. You are a spiritual leader. So as you enter the timeline of truth and as you enter this trusting reality of operating in the way that the universe actually operates, you are creating more energy for people to help move them downstream as well. Instead of, you show the way for people so they aren't moving upstream either. And here's a real doozy of a question. Who deserves my trust? Everyone deserves to be trusted to the highest level of their frequency or own joy. What does this mean? The higher you go in your enlightenment, the more clearly you will be able to see someone's trustworthiness. That being said, there are a few indicators that someone really does have your best interests in mind. How can you tell if someone is on the timeline of truth? Authenticity, honesty, sincerity, empathy and awareness, respect, and the understanding that we are all one. If you've got someone in your life and you really feel sincerely that they check all those boxes, then you are going to be probably dealing with someone that you can trust. The person who recently betrayed me did not have authenticity. They did not have honesty. They did not have sincerity. They did not have empathy or awareness, and they did not have respect. They did have the understanding that we are all one. But with that many of those boxes not checked, I should have recognized the fact that they were not capable of being a trustworthy person. And in a way, I already knew it, but I was really rooting for them to be honest with me, and they couldn't be because of their fear and insecurity. The easiest way to tell if someone has your best interest in mind is to find out if they understand the truth of all one. Any individual who truly understands that we are all one will behave in a manner that benefits all and harms none. By living in alignment with this truth, you can understand that all suffering is truly shared as it is all joy. This is similar to karmic return, but it is instant and expansive. So there's one more little section I want to read to you, and that's called, What is Trust? What is trust? Think about that for a second. Trust is something that you give to another person, whether they will honor it or not. Trust is your belief in a mutual understanding of respect. Despite the fact that every person is always doing the best that they can conceivably do, your own well-being requires that you find trustworthy people to trust. So how do you trust anyone to have your best interests in mind, let alone a cult leader? And you can just think about that. What are the things that allow you to be able to trust someone? And how do you feel that? Again, sometimes you're going to be seeing someone's higher self, and you can see their fear and insecurity, and you can be rooting for their higher self to win out, and their insecurity will win out, and they will lie and they will betray you. This might also happen in your own reality. You might say, I really want to show up authentically. I really want to be an honest person. I really don't want to screw anybody over anymore. I just want people to live on the timeline of truth with me. And then out of your mouth comes a lie. Out of your mouth comes a dishonesty. And if you find yourself doing that, just stop, just catch yourself and just say, how does this feel in my body? And feel it in your body and feel the sickness that it brings, because it's not a good feeling to lie, and it's not a good feeling to lead someone on into believing something that's not real. If you've got, a partner, a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or, somebody who you're dating, a non-binary person you're dating, and you are leading them on with lies and you're leading them on with manipulation, is that relationship truly satisfying to you? Is that relationship truly rewarding to you deep down? No, because you're feeling like you have to lie to them in order to keep them around. You feel like you have to be dishonest with them in order for them to like you. So deep down, you know that they wouldn't like you. And the more you lie, you know that they really wouldn't like to know that you had been lying to them this whole time. So you're creating a torture chamber for yourself. I don't even know why you would enter a relationship like that or maintain one. I know that many of you were raised in a way that that's the only way you know how to interact, but start to listen to your body. Start to listen to your reality of what does it feel like to mislead people? What does it feel like to manipulate people? What does it feel like to gaslight people? I don't think you're going to find that it feels very good. And what are the rewards? You might have some rewards, but they aren't true rewards. They aren't true reality. They are built on lies, and they will only feed your insecurity and your fear. Trust is a difficult one. If you're a gullible, pure person, sometimes you're going to get betrayed. Sometimes you're going to let people into your life who are not worthy of being trusted. There are people who will betray you in the future. But if you enter into that 5D reality and you see the whole beauty of it all, and you see the rewards of all the lessons that you get to learn and all the boundaries that you get to learn and the discernment that you get to learn from those experiences, you can just love the journey, and you can learn how to set better boundaries, and you can learn how to be more discerning. If you were around people who lied a lot in your childhood, around people who didn't keep you safe, it's common that you don't know how to choose people who will keep you safe in the future, because that's not what feels comfortable. That's not what feels like the people you know. The people you know might be more relatably bad people, dishonest people. And so you have to train yourself to enter into the timeline where you deserve to be told the truth, where you deserve to be around people who are authentic and kind. And that comes from you yourself being authentic and kind from the beginning, and then entering into that reality. Thank you for joining me for Cam Church. I hope you all have a beautiful Easter Sunday. Uni bless.